Hello everyone and welcome to today's senior speeches. Our first speaker today is Charlotte Butler. Charlotte will be introduced by her father, Mark Butler.
Good morning. For my introduction, I'd like to read a poem that I think reflects, at least in part, who Charlotte is. Curiosity by Alistair Reid. Curiosity may have killed the cat. More likely the cat was just unlucky, or else curious to see what death was like, having no cause to go on licking paws or fathering litter on litter of kittens predictably. Nevertheless, to be curious is dangerous enough, to distrust what is always said, what seems, to ask odd questions and interfere in dreams. Leave home, smell rats, have hunches. Do not endear cats to those doggy circles where well-smelled baskets, suitable wives, good lunches are the order of things, and where prevails much wagging of incurious heads and tails. Face it, curiosity will not cause us to die, only lack of it will. Never to want to see the other side of the hill or that improbable country wherein living is an idyll, although a probable hell would kill us all. Only the curious have, if they live, a tale worth telling at all. Dogs say cats love too much, are irresponsible, are changeable, marry too many wives, desert their children, chill all dinner tables with tales of their 9 lives. Well, they are lucky. Let them be 9-lived and contradictory, curious enough to change, prepared to pay the cat price, which is to die and die again and again, each time with no less pain. A cat minority of 1 is all that can be counted on to tell the truth. And what cats have to tell on each return from hell is this: that dying is what the living do, that dying is what the loving do, and that dead dogs are those who do not know that dying is what to live each has to do. May I present my daughter, Charlotte Butler.
Good morning. I've been a forest fire, I am a forest fire, and I am the fire, and I am the forest, and I am a witness watching it. Mitski, one of the most poetic musicians of our time, has a magical ability to write a phrase that helps me see myself more clearly. She sang to me what is a reminder of the intricate relationship between humanity and nature and the importance of being in tune with it. The imagery of both the fire and the forest, the destroyer and the witness, speaks to the complex nature of life itself. It's a reminder that awareness extends beyond mere observation. It requires introspection and action. We have the power to make the change because we are all accountable for what needs to change. Awareness is to recognize your accountability in every position. It is a challenging, grounding behavior that allows you to more closely understand who you are in the world you live in. This form of self-reflection is some of the most difficult I have attempted because putting yourself in the position of the destroyer opens the doors for you to doubt yourself and perhaps your good intentions. Self-doubt and fear of failure are some of the biggest anchors that hold me back, and I stand here certain that I'm not alone in that. Yet, in acknowledging our capacity for both harm and healing, we reclaim agency over our collective identity. Just as the fire engulfs the forest, our choices either nurture or destroy the delicate balance of nature. Recognizing this duality has been a transformative experience, challenging me to confront my role in the larger ecological narrative. I couldn't ignore the pressing reality of our environmental crisis. I came to terms with what I've contributed to the destruction of our environment, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Without the acknowledgement, I wouldn't have been able to move forward because I wouldn't have been able to see what needs to be done. Previous generations could have scarcely imagined the threats of our planet faces today. Now we see the threats, we've seen the headlines, and we've experienced the impacts. The signs of climate change are everywhere, from rising temperatures to melting ice caps to extreme weather events and disappearing ecosystems. I'm here to say that I refuse to let my fear of failure hold me back from doing something about it. And I couldn't be happier to address a group of young people with hopefully the same amount of determination that I have. But amidst all the urgency, I implore you to recognize something crucial. We are not separate from nature. We are a part of it. The seasonal cycles for years have brought humanity food, traditions, and festivals. Our lives are shaped by the changing seasons, the warmth of the sun in the summer and the serenity of winter snow. Our lives are enriched by the diversity of life, and yet all too often, we take the connection for granted. We seem to have lost the attachment to the beauty of the morning dew, the sense of wonder in a forest, or the sense of the storm's power. I realize that if I intend to face the challenges of climate change, I must rediscover my connection with nature. Earlier this year, Dr. Sowell gave my class the opportunity to give away our phones for the week. This was when I started to regain my connection with nature. Nonetheless, reading Siddhartha was another catalyst for this newfound appreciation, but the removal of the crutch that was my cell phone allowed me to ground myself in nature in a way I truly hadn't in a long time. Being grounded in nature has heightened my sense of awareness, and since then, I found that when I need to clear my head, the natural world is my biggest tool. I found solace in the rhythm of my breath as it flowed from me into the wind, and even found out how many breaths it takes to be calm. It's 6. 6 deep breaths in, 6 deep breaths out. I found out it only takes me 72 seconds. And I realized how much time I spent wasted in needless anxiety, resisting and holding on to emotions instead of letting them pass with each breath. I see the scars that were created in me because of times I refused the natural world from washing away my worries. Truly, I could look back and regret. But something I've discovered in life to be true is that we're supposed to learn from the things that we are supposed to learn to love the scars we collect over life, no matter where they come from. And this brings me to my final point, forgiveness. You see, the truth is we are all implicated in the crisis of climate change, albeit some more than others, but the key word is all. The thing about climate change is it's the biggest example of the tragedy of the commons because it involves all 8 billion people and the natural resource of our atmosphere. My mom once told me, this air is everyone's air, and therefore it is no one's. No one person can or will take responsibility for the health of our atmosphere, and because dwelling on guilt will get us nowhere, instead we must forgive ourselves and others. We are then able to accomplish or acknowledge our shortcomings without being consumed by them, empowering us to take positive action and move forward with determination. Let it be known that forgiveness is not letting go of the past, but rather embracing the future. Forgiveness is recognizing that we have the power to change. And most importantly, forgiveness fosters empathy and understanding, the understanding that we are all a part of this world. So, to the older generation in this room who felt climate was never their concern, I forgive the careless, short-term thinking your generation granted the world. I forgive you for the fact that profit meant more than the destruction of our planet. I hope this forgiveness empowers you to stop looking back and start looking forward. To the students in this room today, I hope you feel the power you have. I hope you realize today how strong your voice is. I hope if you took away nothing at all, it's that you are some of the most capable people in the world. And if you have the chance to make a positive impact, take it and don't let fear of failure hold you back. Thank you.
Our second speaker today is Ben Abbott. Ben will be introduced by his golf coach, Ed Conway.
Good morning. It is my honor. It's very tough for me. It is my honor to have Ben Abbott select me for the introduction to his senior speech. I am Coach Ed of the boys JV golf team. I have known Ben Abbott since his sophomore year when he joined our team. The things I like most about Ben is his consistency and his character. Very tough for me. About 2 years ago, we had an invitation to the PRP Invitational at some course near Shepherdsville. And we won it with a score of 335, and Ben helped by shooting an 87. Along with Quinn and Jack Palmer, who graduated last year, and some of the seniors like Reese that I see in the Reese Holbrook, Will Hellman, Will, there you go, Andrew McAfee. All right, good job. Ben showed his consistency and his love for detail. I love his honesty and many times I was told at our matches that collegiate has true gentlemen playing the game. And that's very, very rare in high school sports. Every once in a while, I play the par 3 course against the team at Seneca's par 3 course. Again, Ben showed his consistency by shooting 32 to 34, and par is like 27. Very good. I have to read this as I'm getting old. Tomorrow's my birthday, and I'll be 80 years. I'll be 80 years old. So the kids keep me young, no question. I always had a habit of having Mott's gummies at matches. And the idea was, if you worry about don't worry about the game, just eat the gummies. And they'll help your golf game. I want to wrap this up. Just don't loan him $5 when you expect it back the very next match. I finally did get my money, but I'm still trying to get my pyramid putter back. Ben. Ben, I don't know who your little buddy is, but he could not have asked for a better young man with your qualities. To all of the classmates assembled here today, it is my pleasure to introduce Ben Abbott to you. Take care. All right.
Finding the value of building strong relationships with the people around you that truly care takes time and has been something that I have worked hard to implement into my daily life. I have quickly realized over my life that not everything is going to go my way or the way that I planned on it going. I have found that the only thing that matters is how I react and what I do when put into a situation like this. As I've reflected on my countless experiences with finding these values while composing this speech, I found myself feeling quite grateful for the people around me who have played a role in helping shape me into the person I am today. Today I would like to express the importance of finding the value in recognizing the people that support your every endeavor, and also finding the value in all of your life's experiences and using those to help yourself grow into a better version of yourself. As the brother of 3 sisters, things have always been a constant competition in the Abbott house. I used to always wish I had at least one brother while growing up, but as I've gotten older, I've realized that having 3 sisters is more of a blessing than a curse. Ironically, Elliot and I have become closer after she has left for college for some reason. I guess because I have less time to annoy her on our short family trips or when she comes home from Alabama for breaks. Or I would just feel bad to annoy her because I don't get to see her very often anymore. Mimi is the closest thing to a brother of the 3 sisters. The first story that popped into my mind that best describes Mimi is the story of when a shard of glass fell and punctured my left buttocks. One day when we were little, we came up with the brilliant idea to play tag with socks on while running around the house. I was tagged and I was running down a hallway right behind Mimi, trying to tag her until the game took a sudden tragic turn. Mimi slips on the wood floor with her socks and runs into a giant grandfather clock, shattering the glass. She somehow came out unscathed, but a moment later, I slipped right behind her and unfortunately did not come out unscathed. A shard of glass had fallen from the grandfather clock and punctured that specific area I mentioned earlier. Pumping with adrenaline from our intense game of tag, I had not even realized the shard of glass in my left buttocks. And Mimi, without hesitation, reached over instantly and removed the shard of glass. If that doesn't show you the kind of sister Mimi is, I don't know what will. Louise and I have an awesome relationship. Basically, she minds her own business and I mind my own business. And honestly, it works. The only time Louise and I have short disagreements is when I have friends over past 8:30. I swear she would wake up and tell us to be quiet and ship us off down to the basement if one of us were to accidentally drop a paperclip on the ground. Louise, of course, is the youngest of 4, and I haven't yet deciphered whether being the 4th Abbott to begin their journey through high school at collegiate is a good thing or a bad thing, but one thing I do know is that when it comes to academic prowess, she certainly has a lot to live up to meet my standards. Growing up with 3 sisters has been an experience that I would not give up for anything and will always cherish. One thing that is a common ground for all my siblings and I is participation in sports. I'm currently participating in my 4th season of varsity lacrosse and tennis and completed my 3rd season of golf earlier this school year. Lacrosse and tennis are both spring sports, meaning that I have found myself trying to juggle my commitments both at the same time, but I've been able to successfully manage my commitments both while also maintaining strong academic habits. I've been playing tennis my whole life and never plan on quitting, even after I hit my last shot for collegiate as the season comes to an end in May. I started playing lacrosse my freshman year at collegiate and had little to no experience with the sport prior to freshman season. All-American Andrew Hoffman was still an 8th grader at the time, so our team needed a goalie. Little freshman Ben thought it would be worth a shot to get between the pipes. I quickly regretted this decision on our first scrimmage against KCD when I got shelled during Lawson's revenge game against collegiate. I decided that I just wasn't really cut out to be goalie and had a greater respect for lacrosse goalies after this experience. I started playing golf for collegiate my sophomore year and I was absolutely horrible at the sport at the time. I worked on my game almost every day before and during the season, trying to perfect my swing and golf game. And I picked up a habit of showing up to the tee times moments before the short window we were required to tee off when playing with friends. But unfortunately, this habit bled into many collegiate matches. I would often show up to the match moments before we were teeing off, no warming up, no practice swings, just walk up to the box, tee up the ball, and let it fly. Getting to know Coach Ed over the 3 years has been an unforgettable experience. His ability to say and do the funniest things without realizing it is something that I try and implement more into my life. I have made countless memories throughout each season competing for collegiate, and I will never forget these moments. I recently accepted a job as a camp counselor at Camp Mondamin in the mountains of western North Carolina. I spent 8 summers at Camp Mondamin, and it helped shape who I am today. The simplicity of camp allowed me to immerse myself in outdoor activities such as hiking, sailing, and mountain biking in a non-competitive atmosphere. I will soon have the opportunity to help campers master various outdoor living skills free of distractions of social media and screens. I will teach my young campers how to be a part of a community and give them the freedom to explore what they want to pursue while at camp. From growing up with 3 sisters, participating in lacrosse, tennis, and golf, or doing things that aren't necessarily the normal thing to do during your senior year summer, such as Mondamin, I have found value in every single one of these experiences and am eager to see what comes next in my life.
Our third speaker today is Jafet Figueroa. Jafet will be introduced by Mr. Terry.
Good morning, everyone. As a member of the team that helps coach each of the seniors on their senior speeches, I've spent a lot of time right over there somewhere silently judging each introduction and wishing they were all Woodford Ragland's grandpa. In all this time, I've noticed, as I'm sure you have, some of the tropes of the speech introduction genre. They're almost always sweet and loving, they all tell funny stories about a senior, and they almost all go just a little too long. Well, this introduction will do exactly none of those things. It will be none of those things because I'm not actually happy to be up here. See, Jafet has been bothering me about introducing him for his senior speech for nearly as long as I've known him. Jafet's sophomore English class, a group he, and only he, ridiculously refers to as the Freedom Riders. They were my first class here at Collegiate, and they very much enjoyed coming to class most Thursdays and roasting whatever poor senior had done the very difficult task of speaking in front of the whole school that day. And so senior speeches became a thing which we were all very invested in. Some days it was a nice teaching moment, and many days it was a test of my classroom management skills. For reasons that are truly unknown to me, Jafet eventually fixated on the idea that I should introduce him for his speech whenever that far-off day came. I'm not sure why he made this decision, and I'm not sure he even knows. Especially because I immediately said no. But true to his nature, he was relentlessly persistent in this idea. Jafet asked me to introduce him for his speech for nearly 3 years now, and for 3 years, I've repeatedly and often brutally said no, I would absolutely not introduce him. And yet, here we are. I've told Jafet no in countless ways over the years. I've been funny, I've been mean, I've offered to introduce MS right in front of him, just to hurt his feelings. But I've never actually told Jafet why I didn't want to introduce him. The reason I told Jafet no so many times, and the reason I'm not at all happy to be here today, is because introducing Jafet for his senior speech forces me to acknowledge the fact that Jafet will soon be off to college, and he'll no longer be around to be one of my students. Jafet has always been, to me, the student who welcomed me when I was a stranger. He liked me before he really knew me, and he made my time here special in ways that he couldn't ever know. And I'm not at all ready to let him go. I'm sure I'm not alone in that feeling. But I told him I would do it, and so I guess I'll finally do what I've never wanted and say that it gives me absolutely no pleasure to introduce to you Jafet Figueroa.
That was cute.
Oh, that was so much speech.
Good morning. Everyone knows that in life there's always a reacher and a settler. Someone who punches up and someone who punches down. Now, for the past 17 years of my life, I had found comfort in being a settler. Constantly being reminded by coaches and teachers that I was, quote unquote, capable of so much more. And I hated hearing this because from a young age, I never liked people criticizing me on my effort or lack thereof. I mean, how did they know what I was capable of? These people barely knew me. However, to my distaste, they almost always seemed to be right. I was, in fact, capable of more. Whether it was in school or soccer, I'd always known that I could do better, put in a little bit more effort, run that extra mile, do that assignment for extra credit. It was all just a matter of whether I wanted to or not. And the thing is, I never wanted to. I'd never really seen the appeal of doing more work than was already asked of me, so I never did. Sometimes even weaseling my way into doing less than what was asked. And so for the most part, I just cruised through my life on easy mode, never really exerting any effort. I was settling for less than what I knew I was capable of, and it was awesome. I didn't have a care in the world and felt little to no stress about school. I'd never even imagined myself going to college, so what did it matter if I had good grades or not? The course of my life would ultimately be unaffected and would remain on the same path. I mean, I did okay in school and was always a good soccer player, so I never really felt the need to try any harder to do more than what was asked of me. So of course I was happy with this. I had found the sweet spot of not trying, but just trying hard enough to get by, and I was doing great. I was content with what I was doing, finding comfort in the fact that if I really felt like it, I could do better. So, of course, sometimes I would on the occasion put forth some effort into my school or soccer, and it would always be a random assignment or game where there was a noticeable difference. Now, obviously, throughout all of this, I was met with some backlash from my teachers here at Collegiate, since for whatever reason they believed that I could achieve anything I set my mind to, and would tell me this any chance they got. So much so that when I asked Mr. Travis and Mr. Carr to sign my yearbook, Mr. Travis wrote, "Jafet, it would be so nice to see you apply your presentation self more often." Referring to my foreign policy presentation for American Studies, that was one of the select few assignments I took pride in and tried for. While PK wrote, "Jafet, you were a very talented and capable person when you put your mind to it. You're capable of anything." I mean, the absolute nerve they had believing that I could do better. They had seen right through the disguise that I had maintained for so many years. Now, this is the part of the story where I tell you about how I had some sort of eye-opening revelation that caused me to stop settling for less and began to reach for greatness in my life. But I would be lying if I stood up here and said that, because to be honest with you, I'm not really sure what changed. It just kind of did. Obviously, it was a combination of many different things, but I can't particularly put my finger on it. I was simply just sick of going through the motions. My life as I had seen it was gravely mediocre, and I was fine with that for so long, but I had just been left feeling empty, like I had no real accomplishments to be proud of. There was no real substance to any of what I was doing. I realized that there wasn't anything cool about not caring about my grades or being nonchalant. It only made me look dumb. For so long, I had my mind made up about my future that I didn't leave myself open for change. I'd stagnated my growth as a person by not keeping an open mind to all of the different opportunities that I had within reach. So, I decided to stop being a settler and become a reacher. I began to challenge myself more, pushing myself out of my comfort zone and making a conscious effort to put in more effort into everything that I was doing. And in turn, things began to look up. I'd never really seen the benefits of being a reacher, that by simply putting in more effort in all aspects of my life, I was opening doors that I never thought were possible for someone like me. I realized that not many people in similar positions to mine get to experience this vast array of opportunities that I suddenly had within my reach. So why not just go for it? Why not just do that little bit of extra work? There was no reason for me not to want to do these things besides my own laziness. As I began this transition, I faced a lot of setbacks, and I mean a lot. I often found myself questioning whether or not I could really live up to my potential, or if I was even actually capable of the things I had imagined for myself. Maybe I just wasn't as capable as everyone had said I was, and maybe I really wasn't settling for less. But with each small victory, my confidence grew, and I realized that the only thing that was holding me back were the restrictions that I had placed on myself. So, I urge you all to be a reacher. Run that extra mile. Do that extra assignment. Go for that girl that's way out of your league. Because why not? Thank you.